Hey everyone, Not Spencer here, and today we're going to do an analysis of Team Envy's late game decision making during one of their back-to-back wins from this week's PGL. Let's get started. At the beginning of this clip, we want to take a look at the map. As the 5th circle settles and we see where Phase 6 will end up, Team Envy appears to be in a very good position. Despite being split between two separate compounds within the next circle, they theoretically hold a major advantage. While they don't know exactly where every team is at the moment, they have control over 2 out of the 5 compounds which are safe within the next circle. Considering their surroundings, that means that the majority of players alive are currently outside of the next safe zone, and will have to rotate down large open mountains or through open fields to get into the next circle. The casters make note of Envy's position and suggest that the players would be fine remaining split and holding their current positions, but I beg to differ though. Though the cameras are following another team in the moments that follow, take a look at the minimap. You can see that the Envy players from the south compound make the move to the eastern one in order to fully group up. On a basic level, they do this just to be safe. With so many teams still in the mix, they don't want to risk losing one or both of their split pairs because they found themselves at half strength and overwhelmed. Let's go back to that map again and dive a bit deeper into that decision. When choosing between staying split or grouping up, Envy have to consider where the next circle is likely to show up. Assuming that the next few circles are mostly centered, rotating in from the southern compound would make them very open to enemy fire. On top of that, they wouldn't really have a central compound to push into, as both of the compounds to their immediate northwest are occupied by other teams. This means that the only safe play for the pair in the southern compound is to regroup with their teammates. Additionally, the potential run-in from the eastern compound is much closer to center circle and would be manageable with the help of smoke grenades. We are going to fast forward a bit, through to the next circle. Envy have just finished off Ghost, and they are looking for their next move. They get a fairly generous circle, in that they are not forced out into the open just yet. 2 of their players take their truck and run it up against a tree on the high ground, just inside the next circle. This is the highest playable point remaining in the circle, so the vantage it gives them is quite important. With only 10 seconds between the end of the Phase 8 circle and the final circle, Team Envy understand that they need some protective cover since the center is going to be in the middle of an open field. While his teammates are laying down cover fire for him, Envy's Venerated drives the truck closer to center circle, giving his team the best cover remaining on the map. Something to notice here is that his team prepared the center area with a smoke, giving Venerated a visual wall of protection as he moved the truck into place. At the same time, his backup follows him into the smoke as they look to take control of the center circle. At this point, Moody is forced to prone and lay down smoke in a way that lets him leapfrog into the center as well. As the circle closes in behind him, he knows that he simply cannot run out towards his teammates through the open field. He would be an incredibly open target. While he is working on his rotation in, his teammates wipe the 3rd place team to the north, and also get a knock on the last remaining team, making it a 4v2 in favor of Envy. Moody manages to get a knock on one of the 2 remaining players, but ends up getting knocked himself as he goes to finish the player off. As the nade finished off the knocked player, it's now a 3v1. With Envy in control of the center circle, it should be an easy finish, right? Well, maybe not so easy. We are going to freeze frame this moment to fully understand what happens. What do you notice? That's right, 2 of Envy's players run out of ammo and are in the middle of reloading as their 3rd player is in a spray battle with the last enemy alive, Wildcard's Sharp Shot. So instead of being able to land cover fire in a 2v1 or 3v1, it becomes a 1v1 just for a moment. But that's all the time Sharp Shot needed to get a knock and make it a 2v1. And as he turns to take his next fight, he gets the better of Envy's Pat Caps, forcing him to go prone to survive. Barely a second later though, the blue forces Sharpshooter out of hard cover into a position where he is a bit more exposed. And after seeing a player go prone, he opens fire on Envy's Venerated, who is standing in the field. Almost preemptively, Pat Caps stands right back up to spray him down. And although Sharpshooter manages to get the knock onto Venerated, Pat Caps is able to finish him off and earn the win for Team Envy. In the very last seconds of that match, it was a bit nervy, but they managed to pull through thanks to solid decision making and better planning when it came down to priority over center circle positioning. You can see at the end there how the blue really forced the issue. You might be saying to yourself, okay, that's great and all, but how do I implement this sort of thing into my own games? In your next PUBG match, after you finish scrambling for vehicles and looting, focus on compound control and sticking with your squad most of the time. Communicate with your teammates when you see one of them moving into a position by themselves, and consider how you can best support their movement. Sometimes that will require a temporary split, but as long as you communicate the reasoning, you can work to come back together and earn yourself a well-deserved chicken dinner.